Okay, so it's the Twitter Files Part 5. Elon Musk tweeted, "Under pressure from hundreds of activist employees, Twitter deplatforms Trump, a sitting U.S. president, even though they themselves acknowledged that he didn't violate the rules." And of course, this is completely consistent with modern leftism. Rules for thee, but not for me. So Twitter Files Part 5, the removal of Trump from Twitter. On the morning of January 8th, President Donald Trump, with one remaining strike before being at risk of permanent suspension from Twitter, tweets twice. First, he tweeted this: "The 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, America first, and make America great again, will have a giant voice long into the future. They will not be disrespected or treated unfairly in any way, shape, or form." Well, Biden didn't waste much time getting on that, did he? And then Trump tweeted, "To all of those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. So not much to that. He's just saying he's not going to the inauguration. Or that's how a normal person would see it. Apparently not the top people at Twitter. For years, Twitter had resisted calls, both internal and external, to ban Trump on the grounds that blocking a world leader from the platform or removing their controversial tweets would hide important information that people should be able to see and debate. And of course, that's true, but it's clear from what we're going to go through in this Twitter thread that the top people at Twitter, the top people very much wanted to get rid of Trump, and they saw this as their moment. Now, there were dissenters inside of Twitter against the push to ban Trump. It says, "Maybe because I'm from China, I deeply understand how censorship can destroy the public conversation." Yeah, I guess nobody sent this person the memo that a lot of the people working at Twitter, just like Justin Trudeau, want a China-style dictatorship. But anyway, but voices like that one appear to have been a distinct minority within the company. Across Slack channels, many Twitter employees were upset that Trump hadn't been banned earlier. And after January 6, Twitter employees organized to demand their employer ban Trump. "There is a lot of employee advocacy happening," said one Twitter employee. One staffer said, "We have to do the right thing and ban this account." And it's pretty obvious he's going to try and thread the needle of incitement without violating the rules. Let's quickly just take a look at Donald Trump's last tweets here. "Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful." January 6. "I am asking for everyone at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful. No violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you." Here's the video where he concedes on January 7th and also condemns the violence on January 6th. And then we have the last two tweets about the 75 million great American patriots who voted for me, and the last one in which he says he's not going to the inauguration. These are both from January 8th. So let's just keep those in mind as we go forward. So in the early afternoon of January 8, the Washington Post published an open letter signed by 300 Twitter employees to CEO Jack Dorsey demanding Trump's ban. But the Twitter staff assigned to evaluate tweets quickly concluded that Trump had not violated Twitter's policies. "I think we'd have a hard time saying this is incitement," wrote one staffer. Quote, "It's pretty clear he's saying that the American patriots are the ones who voted for him and not the terrorists, we can call them that, right, from Wednesday." Well, actually, no, you can't call them that. That is ridiculous. But this shows that this is obviously not a Trump supporter saying this, but at least has the integrity to take an honest reading of his tweet. Another staffer agreed, "Don't see the incitement angle here." Here's another one. "I'm also not seeing clear or coded incitement in the Donald J. Trump tweet. I'll respond in the elections channel and say that our team has assessed and found no vios," and that's violations, for the Trump one. And safety has assessed the Donald J. Trump tweet above and determined there is no violation of our policies at this time. But as it turns out, that doesn't matter because the decision had already been made. It was just now reaching for an excuse. Here again from Twitter's safety team. They are unequivocal. It's a clear non-vio. It's just to say he's not attending the inauguration. So just stating the obvious. Here she says, to understand Twitter's decision to ban Trump, we must consider how Twitter deals with other heads of state and political leaders, including in Iran, Nigeria, and Ethiopia. I'm not going to read this, but here the Ayatollah tweeted that Israel has to be removed. I mean, if this isn't an incitement to genocide, I don't know what is, but just fine with Twitter. Here in October 2020, the former Malaysian Prime Minister said it was a right for Muslims to kill millions of French people. Twitter deleted his tweet for glorifying violence, but he remains on the platform, not banned. So here, to all those who have asked, I will not be going to the inauguration on January 20th. So that's coding, I guess, for incitement, but just clear incitement to genocidal violence. That's all right. I mean, we'll get rid of the tweet, but you can stay on the platform. Probably just having a bad day. The president of Nigeria incited violence against pro-Biafra groups. He said, those of us in the fields for 30 months who went through the war will treat them in the language they understand. Twitter deleted the tweet but didn't ban Buhari. Here in early February 2021, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government threatened to arrest Twitter employees in India and to incarcerate them for up to 7 years after they restored hundreds of accounts that had been critical of him. Twitter did not ban Modi. I just can't help but feel this is all worse than I'm not going to the inauguration. But anyway, Twitter executives did ban Trump, even though key staffers said that Trump had not incited violence, not even in a coded way. And here we can see the decision was already made. Says less than 90 minutes after Twitter employees had determined that Trump's tweets were not in violation of Twitter policy, Vijaya Gadde, Twitter's head of legal, policy, and trust, asked whether it could, in fact, be coded incitement to further violence. She said, the biggest question is whether a tweet like this one this morning from Trump, which isn't a rule violation on its face, is being used as coded incitement to further violence. If you have any context or insight we should consider, I'm all ears. Yes, give me something. Just give me anything. I mean, don't you want to ban Trump as much as I do? Come on. Twitter employees on the scaled enforcement team suggest that Trump's tweet may have violated Twitter's glorification of violence policy, if you interpreted the phrase American patriots to refer to the rioters. And it escalated from there. Members of that team came to, quote, view him as the leader of a terrorist group responsible for violence deaths comparable to Christchurch shooter or Hitler. And on that basis, and on the totality of his tweets, he should be deplatformed. Yeah, you can see Vijaya Gadde gave him a little crumb, and they immediately went into a feeding frenzy of delusion. Let's see. Quote, multiple tweets, Twitter employees, have quoted the banality of evil, suggesting that people implementing our policies are like Nazis following orders. Relays Yoel Roth to a colleague. Now, Yoel Roth is this guy. He was the head of Trust and Safety. And we saw in part 1 of the Twitter files talking about the Hunter Biden laptop story being censored. He said the policy basis is hacked materials, though, as discussed, this is an emerging situation where the facts remain unclear. Given the severe, all caps, risks here and lessons of 2016, we're erring on the side of including a warning and preventing this content from being amplified. Again, another case where the decision was already made and they're just trying to reverse engineer an excuse. Given the severe risks here and lessons of 2016, what are the risks and lessons of 2016? That Trump might get elected again. Dorsey requested simpler language to explain Trump's suspension. Roth wrote, God help us, this makes me think he wants to share it publicly. Yes, they're not big fans of people seeing how the sausage gets made, are they? 1 hour later, Twitter announces Trump's permanent suspension due to the risk of further incitement of violence. Many at Twitter were ecstatic. Of course they were. Says by the next day, employees expressed an eagerness to tackle medical misinformation as soon as possible. Of course, because the revolution never ends. I mean, just because they got their dream censorship, they're actually managing to ban a still sitting president, they're not going to be done. They've got to move on to the next banning. they've got to keep those endorphins flowing. They've got to get on to the next banning right away. But the Twitter COO, Parag Agrawal, who was no fan of free speech himself and would later succeed Dorsey as CEO, told head of security, Maj Zatko, "I think a few of us should brainstorm the ripple effects of Trump's ban." He added, "Centralized content moderation, in my opinion, has reached a breaking point now." As in, there might be consequences for this. Yeah, and other world leaders took note of this and they didn't like it. Outside the United States, Twitter's decision to ban Trump raised alarms, including French President Emmanuel Macron, German Prime Minister Angela Merkel, and Mexico's President Obrador. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny criticized the ban as an unacceptable act of censorship. And let's go back to this initial Elon Musk tweet. Under pressure from hundreds of activist employees, Twitter deplatforms Trump, a sitting U.S. president, even though they themselves acknowledge that he didn't violate the rules. And of course, there was pressure from hundreds of activist employees, but as we can see with Vijaya Gadde, she had already made the decision herself. She was just looking for an excuse. Yoel Roth had a deep hatred of Trump that went back years. No, these were little tin pot dictators who decided that they know best for everybody. And as for that Yoel Roth, yeah, he actually has a pretty dark side related to his attitude towards children, which we'll have to get to in another video. Anyway, please subscribe, like, and share. That really helps me out. I will see you next time.